Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Okay, I'm so sorry about the delay. I was trying to set up the other device, to take, to handle the Instagram page, and it proved somehow strenuous, but at the end of it all, we are able to go live now. So I thank everybody that is on board on this meeting today. I want to appreciate your time. I want to appreciate your energy. I want to appreciate your resources for coming on board. So become more tribe. Join. Thank you, ma. Wow, this is the association of my mommy. This is Ogunde. Thank you, ma. Thank you, ma. Thank you for joining us. Thank you on Instagram. Become more tribe. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. So today's topic is giving hope to our children, even though we are in the, despite the crisis in the nation, because the time has come where we don't need to really, deceive ourselves about what is happening in the society, what is happening in our country. Remember, I always say that these children that we give birth to daily, they are more informed, better informed than us. So this is not the time to really lie about the situation on ground. And I really feel for them. Because they have the information at their fingertips. So everybody will have to really carry our children along. Thank you, educators. Mr. Rotimi, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for always being there. Thank you so far for all the efforts to give birth. For me to give birth to this assignment that we are doing now, I cannot in any way reduce your influence on Perimark Consulting Limited. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Mr. Rotimi, for joining. Mrs. Bolande Bantale, I appreciate you. Thank you. Mr. Rotimi, why are you running away? Don't run. Okay, so today's topic, like I did say, is how do we give hope to our children in spite of the challenges that we have in Nigeria now. What happened last week in Oyo State, really, I wouldn't say that it threw me out of control, or maybe things like that used to be a breaking news back in the day, but now you just wake up in Nigeria, you expect anything. So when anything happens like this, it is no longer a breaking news. Imagine even that thing that happened in Igangan in Oyo State, my son got to know before I knew. It just came because when the man went there, the video had gone viral. And they started sharing it. And my son just came to meet me. Daddy, what is happening in our state? What is happening in your state? I said, wow, again, what is happening there? So when I showed me, I said, okay, I heard about it. The guy said it before that he was going to chase those guys away. And we began to talk. So that was actually what, inspired me to want to host this meeting this afternoon about giving hope to our children in the when a nation is facing a crisis like Nigeria is facing a crisis now. We don't need to deceive ourselves. We are not going to give them half truth. We need to say it the way it is, but with wisdom. So the wisdom that is really involved now, this is why that wisdom is what I want to let us know now. And I did say in the morning when I flagged out the the announcement, and at the same time, they feel like an hour ago, a video followed. I was saying that parenting with clarity. Thank you. Good afternoon, ma'am. So I was saying that for 3 reasons, we are not going to lie to our children about the situation in this country for 3 reasons. What are the reasons? Number one of the reasons is this. These guys feel informed. Like I explained, that my son came to meet me with a video that daddy, see what happened. What is happening in our state? And I said, what is happening? And by the time he showed me, I said, oh, wow, it's really, the man had said that before. He had threatened that I was going to chase those guys if they don't leave in the next 7 days. So from there, I knew that these guys are informed. Then the second one, they feel threatened about the information that are at their disposal. Our children feel threatened, because my son was now telling me from that conversation, he was asking me, he was saying that, so what is going to happen? What about reprisal attack? That was what he said. What about, okay, if those people there now went, they left, and the other area from Core North, they gather themselves, what will happen? That means Nigeria will snowball into crisis. That how about some people that are living there? I was just looking at him, like a penitent student, listening to him about what he has to say. So that was where I got that second point. They feel threatened about the information that they have at their disposal. Then the third one, they feel empowered. My son told me that so what is going to happen now? Can't somebody just call a meeting? Why couldn't somebody call a meeting? Or rather, why couldn't police just come in between? Or why shouldn't even the president call them for a meeting? Or at the same time, he was even telling me that why can't the cows, why can't they have a kind of place for them, a kind of a special, a separate place for them to graze? He was telling me all this. So because of the conversation that I had with him, I knew that every child that God has given unto us has solution to any particular problem a nation is facing at their relative age. Once a child begins to know, the left from right, knows how to write, knows how to speak, knows how to comprehend, knows how to respond to people, that child has the ability to provide solution to any challenge he or she faces, or any challenge the nation, the community, or even the house that the child is staying, any problem they have, the child has the ability to provide solution. Look at that conversation that I had with my children, and I was able to bring out those 3 reasons why we need to talk about this now. Then another challenge, 3 challenges that these children are already facing. They are here. They are facing a stalled future. A stalled future. That is what they are facing. None of them, all of these children that we have, they don't really want to believe in the corporate entity of this nation, Nigeria, this space called Nigeria. They don't really want to believe. They don't believe they have a hope in this place, Nigeria. That's why when you see any one of them now, once they get to like JS3, they begin to talk about scholarship. They begin to talk about how they're going to leave the country, how they're going to leave the country, for another area. These guys are definitely looking for money as it is, but they are looking for a country, they are looking for a nation where their energy will be well harnessed, to birth solutions to the problem of humanity. That is what the children that we're giving back today, that is what they think now, because they are not happy the fact that we are suffering in the country. They are not happy that something that could happen, a solution that could be provided for a small thing as NEPA, National Electrical Power Authority, or PHCN, Power Holding Company. They can't just fathom, they can't just reason along why we can't have it 24/7. So those guys really don't have any hope. It's like a stalled future. They don't really, once they get to like JS2, JS3 like this, they begin to think about how they're going to school abroad, how they're going to do all, better things there, because they believe that there are opportunities for them when they get there. So every child that we have now, what is paramount to them is the ability to birth solution. ability to solve problems. But because of the challenges, the peculiar challenges we have in Nigeria, what are we going to do? How are we going to get them prepared? How are we going to give them a hope that regardless of what is happening in Nigeria now, you, our children, we always say that you are the future, but we have changed that narrative a while ago that they are the now. They are the now. They are no longer the future. They are the now. Why are they the now? They are the now because we begin to break down the challenges of Nigeria to them, so that they will be able to provide solution. Imagine what happened on Saturday. The conversation I had with my son, 3 things I wrote there, meaning that these people, if given the opportunity, if they gather themselves together, just solve the problem. This is the problem that Nigeria is facing. What can you guys do? They will come up with the solution. From what I was able to garner from my son, I'm quite sure that if these children are given the opportunity, they will be able to do better for Nigeria. Then the second challenge that they are facing that is so critical is this: increased level of stress and anxiety. Increased level of stress level and anxiety. That thing is so key. When you see that's why I tell parents that this is not the period, to get even with our children when we ask them to do something, and they didn't respond. They didn't respond as quick as, Our children didn't respond as quick as we expected. It is not the time for us to get even at them. Maybe you want to pay them back, you want to do this. Seek to understand why these guys are behaving this way. Even if they don't watch TV with us, they have their device. They exchange mails, they exchange opinions, they exchange tweets with their children, with their peers, with their friends. And if you really get to know the network of these guys, you'll always know that they are frustrated, and the stress level and the stress and the anxiety levels is so high that they are not even ready to listen to anybody other than the person that seeks to understand them, other than the person that seeks to be in their life, that seeks to know what they are going through, other than the person that seeks to know what are those things, what can they do, what can a child do, what can a child do. When we go through that perspective, that what can this child do, this is the only way that will make these children that we have open up to us. This is the only way that we can melt down their stress and anxiety level. Because of the prevailing challenges we have in the country, these guys, the future looks bleak to them, stalled to them. Then the second one, increased level of stress and anxiety. Then the last one, confusion about what next. Confusion about what next. I was having the conversation, like I said, with my son over the weekend, and he was telling me that last year it was all about protest, it was all about EndSARS, it was all about pandemic, it was all about political instability, it was all about one problem or the other. Here we are in 2021 again. What does future hold for Nigeria? What does it hold for us? Is there anything else? What are we expecting? What can parents do? What can government do? What can many people, what can adults do concerning the situation that we have in Nigeria now? So that is, that prompted me to now, to want to come up. And I scheduled another topic for today, but because of that conversation, if my son could have that conversation, that means that thousands, millions of children around Nigeria that were able, to understand, to watch, to see what happened over the weekend would always be thinking of the same thing. They'll be thinking about the anxiety, they think about the future that is stalled, they think about what is next. Many of them don't even know what is next. They just go to school, they don't know what is going to happen. So this are the reasons why today we have to discuss this. What I've discussed so far, the 3 reasons why we have to do this. The first one is these children, they are informed. They are better informed, if not more than us parents. Then the second one is the information they had, what they've experienced, what they've seen, what they've heard so far is actually, threatening their existence, threatening, their humanity, threatening their being. They are losing themselves. Then the third one, in spite of those things, nevertheless, they feel they need to be, empowered for them to solve the problem of Nigeria. They don't really want to run away. They want to solve the problem, but what can we do to solve? Then the second one that I discussed about the challenges that they are facing. The first challenge is the future look bleak to them, if not even totally stalled. Then the second one is the stress and anxiety level increased. Then the third one, they don't know what next. So without wasting our time, the purpose for today is, what can we do? How can we give our children hope in spite of the challenges? When I was discussing with somebody this morning that this is what I'm going to, talk about, the man said, which hope? Which hope? I said, there is hope. It depends on how we want to do it. So I wrote down five, but I'm going to release onto us 3 of those things, how we can really give hope to our children. Mr. Ashimolo Ademuyiwa, the land mogul. Thank you, sir, for joining. Mrs. Sheung Ayola Ogunle, I appreciate you, ma. Thanks for joining. Mr. Duru Kalistos, thanks for joining on Facebook, and everybody that has joined on Instagram as well. I appreciate you. Pure Zakonia. I may not be able to pronounce the name very well. Please, I acknowledge everybody's presence on the 2 devices that I am speaking now. So let's go straight to the point. So the first thing that I believe we need to do in giving them hope, don't forget, the hope I want us to give them is not the hope to believe that, okay, now we know, everything is going to be solved in the next 5 years, in the next 1 year. No, the hope we are giving them is that they will be able to know more, to research more on how to solve the problem. That it may take like 10 years, it may take 20 years, but they have it at the back of their mind now that this problem that we're facing in Nigeria is solvable. This problem is solvable. That is why I always say this thing, that, okay, about 70% of the present political gladiators we have in Nigeria today, about 40 years ago, they were once children. They were like 10 years. That was the time I carried out a research. The ages of the gladiators, when you look at the senators and the House of Rep members, 70% of them are from 35 to 55. If not 35 to 50, 70% of them. So when about 40 years ago, they were children. About 40 years ago, some of them were not born. So the politicians that were around them, the parents that were around them, what were they giving? What were they telling them? Were they telling them that the problem of Nigeria is beyond repair? Were they telling them that Nigeria's problem defies solution? I remember in 1991, that was a caption, by National Concord. They got sanctioned when they carried it, and from their editorial report, and they told the sitting military president that if you believe that Nigeria's problem defies solution, the next thing for you is to resign. Right? The newspaper was sanctioned. They were closed down. So are we still going to tell our children the same way that Nigeria's problem defies solution? No, that is not what we're going to tell them. The solution may not come now, but when we really, speak to them in the right wisdom, that they will know that they'll be able to connect with us, they will birth solution. Because in the next 10, 20 years, maybe when they've had their degree, they can know what to do. So that is giving them the hope. Giving them the hope doesn't mean that they will not leave the country to go and study abroad, but they will always believe that they are going abroad to get more knowledge, to empower themselves, but they are coming home for the solution. So the first one we must do is to create an enabling environment to talk about the silver lining. Let me say that again. We should create an enabling environment to talk about the silver lining. This has proved, to be helpful, because we have always heard of this phrase, every cloud has a silver lining. We are used to, hearing that right from our childhood. We've heard about that. It's always a light at the end of the dark tunnel, right? So if we've always been hearing that, it is now our turn to educate our children that regardless of the challenges that Nigeria is facing now, because we have failed them. So if at about 50 now, the problem I faced 40 years ago, the problem of infrastructure that I faced 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, if my children are still facing that, then in a way, many people now believe that we have failed, but we have not really given the best. We have not really handed the best for our children, to enjoy. In order for their own children not to begin to ask them the same question that, Dad, what did you do? So that our own children that we have now will not be saying that our own grandchildren, your grandchildren did not do more. So you two figure it out. That is what we are doing now. We should always let them know there is a silver lining in every challenge that Nigeria is facing. How are we doing that? Let us begin to condition our children and students to look for it in every area. Let us condition their mind to look for that. Most of the philosophers that we have now that have died, most of the inventors, most of the innovators that we see, many of those things that we're enjoying now, the phone, the light, most of them, especially the phone, most of them were birthed during the period of war. The internet that we see now was given birth to during the period of war. So those are the things we need to let them know, that in spite of the challenges that we are facing now, we can bring up the solution. I was having the conversation with my son. That conversation battered the solution, battered what I'm discussing now. And the same thing I recorded in his mind, that regardless of the challenge we have in the country, there is always a way out. Then the second one that we must do is to lead from wisdom, not fear. I've had many parents, they face the children, they begin to say all manners concerning the country Nigeria. And that's why I want to really encourage us parents. We should be mindful of what we post on Facebook, on social media. I don't want to use my mouth to say all those things here. It's not that nobody is really, pained about what we're seeing, but the unintended consequences matter most. Let us think of unintended consequences about when our children are reading this. What will be going on in their mind? So if my parent, that's even around 50, 55-year-old, could not see any silver lining, in this country, in the problem that Nigeria is facing, how will I see this? So we need to be mindful of these things that we're doing. That is why I said, lead from wisdom, not fear. Let me cite one example now. How do we do this? One of the best ways we can do this is simple. Imagine telling your children that if you go through the road, if you don't look very well, the car will knock you down. That is leading, that is reinforcing, positive values of focus with fear in our children. Because we are leading from fear. We are not leading from really empowering the child to be focused when he's on the road. We are just saying that if you don't look very well, you'll be hit by any oncoming vehicle. How about saying it this way? That it is expected of you to look both left and right when you near a street. I think that's more desirable than telling them that you need to watch the road very well, otherwise you'll be hit by a car. So when you look at the two, one is empowering, one empowers the child to be focused, one empowers the child to pay attention to details, while the second one tells the child, about the fear that if you don't look very well, you'll be hit by the car and you will die. So these are the things we can actually still, put this together. We can expand it, leading them, from wisdom and not fear. When we are able to do this, they will always believe that, fine, Nigeria, the situation may not be that rosy now, but there is always a way out. Then the third one, then we round off. The third one is, let us anticipate a rise up. Let us anticipate a rise up. No children or student rise above the expectation of the adults around. No child, no student rises above the expectation of the child around them. In other words, children improve academically, children improve socially through the positive influence of the teachers and parents around them. There is a way that thing affects their psyche. When they see a parent that believes in them, when they see a teacher that believes in them. The case in point I cited, what happened between my son and I over the weekend, that has given my son a kind of a rise up, in expectation, a rise up in his energy, so that he will be able to deploy everything about him, the energy, positively in birthing solution to the problem of Nigeria. By the time he came to me, brought the video to me, see what is happening, what is even the problem in this country. Every day is about protest, every day is about pandemic, every day is about political instability, every day is about this. And I told him, well, yes, you are right. But guess what? This thing is solvable. I had put that thing in him because I believe that as young as he is, if he's able to be tutored, to be mentored, coached effectively, just push something down about these challenges that we're facing in Nigeria, what can you do? And I think I've said this before and I need to say it again. Every challenge that we see in Nigeria is an opportunity for us to sit our children down, to sit the students in our class down and ask them, if you were in this position tomorrow, or if you were there today, if you were the one that was there today, what would you do differently? I think this is better than teachers standing before the students and begin to paint the school, begin to paint the country in a bad light. I've had many occasions where some teachers will just sit, in the class and begin to run a particular section of a faith section, a particular section of religion down, a particular part of Nigeria down. No. Anytime I get to hear something like that, I always tell them that no, that is not the best way to prepare these children. We are trying, or rather, our job, our duty is to prepare them adequately. Our duty is to give them a robust knowledge. So let them grow up like that. So when they grow up, they should be the one that will figure out what to do. It is not within our capacity, within our ability to begin to sow the seed of discord in the minds of our children just because of the prevailing challenges that we face in Nigeria. Fine, the government is not doing what they should do. Everybody says that. It's obvious, just like stating the obvious. We see the palpable moral decadence even among the government. Like Barrister Tawakinami will always say that no nation in the world has puts the responsibility of well-being of the children in the hands of the parents. We have about 4 or 5 agents of socialization around the child. Government is one of them. Fine, we know, but it is not within the ability, within the capacity, and within the prerogative of parents or teachers to begin to run a particular section of the country down, to begin to run a particular section, of a religion down, just because of what is happening in Nigeria. Don't forget, please remember that human beings are human beings. Anybody can be found on the spectrum of any malady, of any criminality. Anybody can be found at the spectrum of that. But when a particular person is found at that spectrum, it is wrong for us to begin to attribute the person's problem, to be the identity of his race. That is leading our children from fear, not from wisdom. So these are the things we need to do. 3 things I have explained here on how to give them hope. The first one is, let us create an enabling environment to do what? To let them see the silver lining at the end of the problem, around the problem that Nigeria is facing. That's number 1. Number 2 is for us to lead them from wisdom, not from fear. And I started an example. How can we lead them from wisdom and not from fear? It's like, we want to tell them to look on the road very well, otherwise you get hit by the car. When a parent does that to a child, a parent is leading that child from from fear. From the fear, right? It's not from the wisdom. But how about telling the child like this, that, okay, the best thing for you to do when you get close to the street, look left and right before you cross. When you see no car is coming, then you can cross. You have taught the child, to be focused. You've taught him to concentrate. A lot of things you've taught the child. Because the child is not seeing death, but the child is seeing empowerment. That is how to empower a child. Then the last one is for us to anticipate a rise. How do we do that? For every solution these children prefer concerning the situation in Nigeria, believe them. Tell them to document those solutions. Tell them to document, if possible. Tell them to do a kind of presentation, and you give them a warm handshake. Give them an award, if possible. I do that in my house. Just imagine yourself, you are the president today. Imagine yourself, you are the energy minister today. Imagine yourself, you are the works and housing minister. What will you do differently? Write all those things down, sketch them down, document them, laminate it, keep them. That is when they believe that one day they have the capacity to do this, and one day there's going to be a Pharaoh who knows Joseph, and he will give them a rousing welcome. He will extend a right hand of fellowship unto them. You have that thing, please bring it up. Let's see. This is how to empower our children. This is how to give them a hope in spite of the challenges Nigeria is facing now. So I want to thank everybody for being here today on Instagram and Facebook. Let's spend the next, that's great. Let's spend the next 10 minutes to read out the contributions, and if you have any questions, let's tackle these questions together. Thank you, Mr. Sonny Mohammed, for watching. Thank you. The triplets from Nigeria joined. I appreciate you, the triplets from Nigeria. Thank you. Parenting with clarity. Exactly, sir. How do we give them a hope? Exactly. That's what we've explained so far. We give them a hope by creating an enabling environment for them to see the silver lining in spite of the challenges Nigeria is facing. That's number 1. Number 2 is to expect and to anticipate a rise in hope. To anticipate a rise up, meaning that for every problem that we think they bring onto us about Nigeria, you ask them, put it to them. And I did say that a child will always do better when they see a parent and when they see a teacher that believes so much in them. So by that, we can give them a hope. Well said, sir. Mr. Sheyi Allen Taylor, thank you all the way from UK. Thanks for joining. Obina Osuchiku, thanks for watching. Yusuf Owolabi, thanks for watching. Once again, Eurodite scholar, educator, Mr. Ashimolo Ademuyiwa, thanks for watching. Thank you, thanks for watching. Let's handle some questions. If you have any questions, please, let's have them. I know, yes, anticipate a rise. I know in schools, many schools today now, a lot of questions, a lot of teachers will be saying some things, we just need to guide ourselves about how we handle this. We shouldn't use the method of teaching to run down a particular section of the country along the line of the religion or anything will be raised. Our job is to prepare them adequately to let them know that the problem Nigeria is facing is solvable. It's not beyond redemption. We can do that. Thank you, Mr. Rotimi. Keep moving on. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, in the absence of no other contribution or questions, so please let me use this opportunity to tell us once again that Legacy Hut with Parenting with Akinropo is on Ovation International Television. You have the opportunity to watch this program on our TV decoder. It's a one-off payment. Once you have the decoder, there is no monthly subscription. So yesterday we were able to watch the episode that was aired yesterday. Somebody called me that, it's actually one of the producers that gave the man my number. He loved the content that was discussed yesterday. So, and I believe that many people had actually sent a message so far. So please, what are you waiting for? You don't want to miss any of these interesting and compelling stories, topics around parenting, around career, around education, around youth development. So that is what the program is for. Then if you are in the UK, Ben TV, Legacy Hut comes up every Saturday at 10:30 p.m. on Ben TV in Europe, in the UK and other parts of Europe. So as you begin to listen to these episodes on TV, Ovation International TV, Ben TV, Core TV, and Super Screen, please send your questions, send your contributions, and send other topics that you think need to be, mentioned, need to be taught, and need to be spoken about, talked about on the TV show. So let us get to know more of them. Remember, Parenting and Family is the coordinating hub, of other spheres of influence. No other spheres of influence will amount to anything, will succeed unless Parenting and Family has succeeded. So when you see what is happening in Nigeria of today, in governance, in any sphere, the result that you are seeing today is a reflection of how we have handled parenting, the Ministry of Parenting and Family, Child Development in time past. And we don't want to do that going forward. We want to hand over a sane nation to our children, and they will be proud of us that our parents did a very good job. This is why we must all take, this assignment of parenting and family. We must take it with all seriousness that it deserves. If we want the best in banking and finance, think parenting and family. If you want the best in politics and governance, think parenting and family. If you want the best in faith and spirituality, think parenting and family. If you want the best in legal system, think parenting and family. If you want the best in agriculture, think parenting and family. If you want the best in media and entertainment, think parenting and family. If you want the best in international politics, think parenting and family. And lastly, even if you want the best, relationship with God, think parenting and family. Everything starts and rises on parenting and family. This is my message for us today. In the course of the week, it's possible I come up live again. But today, I want us to pay attention to what I've discussed so far. Let us begin to lead our children from wisdom and not from fear. Let us begin to give them a hope in spite of the daunting challenges that Nigeria is facing now. This is Legacy Hut, episode 35 with Parenting with Akinropo. I want to appreciate you once again for being part of this show this afternoon. Thank you for your time, for your energy, for your resources. I appreciate you. Thank you.